Hello, thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to the Diaspora Panel. This is the Diaspora Panel, the voice of the diaspora. Again, today, we are going to discuss something that is very important to the Nigerian nation. Before we proceed, I want to introduce the only contributor for today, Mr. Ademola Adisa, who is based in the United Kingdom. Mr. Adisa, you are welcome to today's meeting.
Thank you.
Our viewers, I want to encourage you as usual to subscribe to this channel, the Diaspora Panel. It's free of charge to subscribe. You can subscribe by clicking on that red button on the right. And if you are looking at this on YouTube or if you're looking at this on Facebook or LinkedIn or WhatsApp, you can subscribe by going to youtube.com/diaspora panel, or you can go to www.diasporapanel.com. If you want to send us any message, you can send your messages to our email address, which is info@diasporapanel.com. So again, I want to say thank you for tuning in to this telecast. And today we want to have an analysis of PDP's presidential aspirants. And I'm going to be engaging with Mr. Adisa, who is a political analyst and who has followed politics in Nigeria for over 40 years. And today we are going to start from the issue of Northern Consensus candidate. In the last few weeks, we've seen the trio of Tambuwa, Saraki, and Governor Bala going around seeking to have a Northern Consensus candidate. And finally, the last few days, we heard that the people in the north, the power brokers in the north, have come together and they've chosen two people as their consensus candidates. And these are former Governor Bukola Saraki and current Governor Bala. Is it Bala Mohammed? Although there have been some disclaimers from some northern people in the north, like Sule Lamido, who said that he was not consulted. But, Demola, the question I want to ask you is, should there be a northern consensus candidate? Should we have a northern candidate in the Nigerian election in the first place?
Oh, thank you, DG. We have a non-constitutional or a tradition of rotating presidency.
Mm.
The current president is from the north.
Yeah.
And is a member of the APC. PDP last president was from the east. That is President Goodluck Jonathan.
Mm.
And if so,
hold on, Demola. So you are breaking Nigeria down into its three regions, three original regions: the north, the west, and the east.
That is the analysis.
Okay.
There are two. First is the north and the south.
Yes.
And then the south is divided into two: the east and the west.
Okay.
Those are the three regions that we have. But Nigeria is equally divided into two main areas, that is the north and the south.
Okay.
So the last president from PDP come from the south. And that is Governor Jonathan.
Particularly from the east. It's from the east, particularly.
From the east.
Yeah.
And now, so PDP may say, oh, they're like, so they can rotate it to. But prior to that, prior to Jonathan, the president before that is also from the north. And that is Yaradua. So in essence, if they are really sincere with rotation, then the next president, even from PDP, supposed to come from the west.
Okay.
However, I don't know what they
and why should they come from the west? What is your analysis on that?
You said what?
Why should they come from the west? What is your analysis?
Yeah, this is why I'm saying, if in the west, if they are rotating, just like they claim that presidential system, they need to rotate presidency to reflect the geopolitical structure of Nigeria, which is the three regional structure, which
Okay.
have mother broke it down into state or whatever.
Okay.
So then, if they need to follow that, then the next presidency need to come from the West. Now, let's put it this way. The last presidential candidate from PDP was also from the North, and
Yes.
that is Atiku Abubakar.
Yes.
Even though he failed in his quest, but he did not have the chance at PDP to present and to win a presidential, to win the presidency of Nigeria.
Okay. Hold
Because
on.
they win doesn't mean that
Mm.
they have to be partially zoned to the North until they win.
Hold on. Hold on.
Now, now we now ask ourselves, so if the North insisted on having the presidency zoned to them, because PDP for now have not agreed on any zoning to any part or any region or any part of the country, they left it open, which will be very unfair because if they zone it to the North, the last presidential election, and now to say that they left it open, that will be hypocritical. So now, presently, there are 5 applicant aspirants from the North, and those are Atiku Abubakar, Shola Saraki, Senator Bala Mohammed, uh, uh, Aminu Tambuwa,
Hold on. Shola Saraki is not in the. It's not. It's Bukola Saraki.
Bukola, sorry,
Yeah.
Bukola Saraki, then Aminu Tambuwa, and all this, and also, oh yes, Bukola Saraki, I've also talked about Mohammed Hayatu and Mohammed Hayatu. Yes, there's nothing bad in reaching consensus if they think for them to be able to have a good chance of contesting with the southern candidates from the party or the other aspirants. The North can decide to say, okay, we want one person. That is to make it easier for the party. But from the look of things, there was a release that Bukola Saraki and Bala Mohammed were selected, but that doesn't make sense because if you said you are having a consensus to stop supposed to be one person, not two. So that's even outcome of saying consensus of we two people consensus that you have not reached consensus yet. And even the other aspirants have disagreed that there was any consensus. So I don't think there's any consensus from the North so far. And it will be good if they be able to have consensus is to say, okay, we have this person is going to represent us, not these two people. It's not meant for 2 seats. It's that only 1 seat for presidency.
Okay. So, should there, in the first place, should they be looking for, if you have a consensus candidate from the North, another consensus candidate, will that be a good Nigerian leader?
But it depends on whoever they agree with. So we can analyze whoever they agree with eventually as to be their consensus candidate.
Because the reason why I'm asking is that we know that the major problem with Buhari right now, what people are complaining about, is the problem of ethnicity, the problem of everything being on the northern side. People think that there's a kind of favoritism for people from the north. People believe that Buhari loves his own people more than they love the people from the south. People believe that most of the good posts are given to the people of the north. People believe that there's a kind of northern domination. So if you now have another consensus candidate from the north that they are putting down, as a Nigerian president. What would that translate into?
Now, you put a lot of things together. The administration of Muhammadu Buhari and his style of a presidency is a different thing with the context, with the aspiration for presidency in this for 2023.
Mm.
I don't want to double into Buhari now because Buhari is as good as being the past now. So, but let's look at it is like we generally Nigeria know that the current president is from the north.
Mm-hmm.
And now to say that you are now presenting another northerner as president is really not in the best interest of the unity of
It doesn't
Nigeria.
make sense. It doesn't make sense. Okay,
So
let's go from there. Looking at you've just read about 5 names of people from of contestants from the north in the PDP. You've mentioned Tambuwa. You've mentioned Bukola Saraki. You've mentioned Governor Bala.
Senator Bala Mohammed.
Yeah, you've mentioned Abubakar Atiku,
Yeah.
and I think there's one other name.
Muhammadu Ayatu.
Yeah, I don't think he's a big player, but I don't really know much of him. Out of these 4 people, who should be, if they have to point to somebody as our consensus candidate, or who do you think will be a good Nigerian leader of out of all these 5 people?
Okay, let me put it this way. Let me take it one by one.
Mhm.
Mohammed Ayatu, I don't think he has much to offer, and he has not achieved, he has not displayed any much achievement in the political dispensation of Nigeria
Okay.
for us to be able to say, yeah, this one is able to do something.
Okay.
Senator Bala Mohammed is a good political heavyweight in PDP.
Mhm.
He has the resources to be able to fight the election, and he has contributed a lot to the growth of PDP. He has a good network uh, in the country and most especially in the north as well. I don't think Bala Mohammed have some weight, but that brings me to Tambuwa. Tambuwa is one of the leading founding members of PDP and is also an elderly members of PDP. And he he has high aspiration for political offices. He has been juggling all along, trying to contest for the presidency all along as well. And so he is also for former governor, I believe. Uh, and he is a political weight, and he also have the means. And even he was even as much as trying to even form alternative parties to if he doesn't have his way in PDP. And then we now let's look at Shola Saraki, the former governor of Kwara State and also uh, the president of the Senate in the previous republic. And yes, he has a name, uh, especially inherited from his father, and also is a doctor, and is very much is a household name, and he has a network both in the north and the east, and I mean both in the north and the south. He can, and he also have some international cloud around him. But they have, but he has a lot of baggages. And the other time he was under the clown because he was the president of the Senate before he was he was unable to be prosecuted, and there are a lot of issues with that because about what he did in Ecuador and all these things. He even ran out of the country and stayed abroad for a while after the election because he it was fearful that he would be prosecuted because of his political baggages. So for him, is one of the he has also the opportunity. He has the resources and he has the namesake and he have the network, political network, to be able to do something. And on top of the list is Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president and the last presidential candidate for PDP. Is the one that you have the most resources and most influence in the party. He has also been dabbling between between PDP and APC. He was formerly APC as well. He's so ambitious. He has ambitions just like the ambition man from Lagos. Is his life ambition as well to be president. So and he has all the ground forces to be he has the forces behind him to be president. So both the resources and foot on the ground, and also he has influences within both the north and the south. So on top of it should be Atiku coming from the north. Almut.
So thank you very much, Demola, for that very good analysis of the northern candidate. I think it's better for us to go to on the eastern side. Let's look at how many candidates are there and how many who of all these good guys do we think is the best to become the Nigerian president? I know that on top of the list is Peter Obi, and I know that we have Governor Wike, who has now declared and is gallivanting all over the place. We have Habunwa, who was the first person to declare. We have Anyim Pius, who was a former Senate president, I think. And we also have quite a few people, from there. So, can we take the? Let's start from Peter Obi. What do you think about Peter Obi generally?
Um, Peter Obi will be on top of my list. Not why I will be give him the top list. Peter Obi is a humble man, and he has his former.
He has a record. I think he has
He
a
has,
record is it in Anambra State?
yeah, he performed well,
Mm,
and he built Anambra,
mm.
and also it's more pious, it's more honest, and it's more focused because he has vision for Nigeria. Is the type of person that will meet the current dispensation if he is selected by PDP to be able to meet the aspiration of the current need of Nigeria. Uh,
Okay, so next is Anyim Pius Anyim, who was a former Senate president. What do you think about him?
Ayun, other than being the Senate, he was the Senate president, and that's during the regime of is Obasanjo, and is it during the reign of what
It was during Obasanjo's period, yeah. It was Senate president during Obasanjo's
during the Obasanjo
presidency, yeah,
period,
yeah. Mm.
and we know what a lot of
It was also the secretary to the government under Jonathan. Yes, it was secretary to the
yes,
government, yeah,
he
under
was
Jonathan,
he was
yeah.
the Senate president under Obasanjo,
Mm.
and we know a lot of how much padding was done to the budget at that period, and as secretary to Jonathan as well. Uh,
But apart from that, I don't think much is known about him.
Yeah.
What's your opinion about Governor Wike, the current governor of Rivers?
Um, Wike is a noisemaker. He is very ambitious and pompous. He he has no respect for anybody, even for the traditional rulers. He's not the type of person we need
It's not the
for the
presidential
presidency
material.
of Nigeria.
It's not presidential material.
No.
Okay. Then there's a governor, I think, of Akwa Ibom State, Idom Emmanuel, who has also declared that he wants to become president of Nigeria. What do you
Yeah,
think about? Mm,
Idom Emmanuel.
mm,
Um, Idom I can see he's a silent achiever, and he is doing a lot. He's doing a lot for Akwa Ibom, uh, but it's not an household name, and he has. I don't think he has the the link, the foot soldiers
mm,
or the solid work to be able to cover the whole of Nigeria.
mm.
But he will be a good aspirant as well.
Okay. There is this Sam Ohabunwa. I don't really, do you know much about Sam Ohabunwa?
Samuel Awabua,
Yeah.
I don't know much about him, but I think I don't know what he has achieved. He's not much of a name uh, in the East, in the political uh, dispensation
On
in
the
the
political
East.
scene, yeah, yeah, okay. I know he's a businessman and he's a good achiever. You know, he has done well in business circles. But I'm not sure whether he has taken up any political appointment. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not sure, but it doesn't seem to have any kind of
It
structure.
doesn't sound much
Yeah.
politically in.
Okay, let's look at the western flank. We have on the western flank, we have Ayofayoshe, who is also an aspirant, and we also have Dele Momodu. They are both on the western side. And what do you think? First of all, Dele Momodu. What's your impression of Dele Momodu?
Dele Mamadou is well
It's a
known
household
name.
name, yeah. It's a
Is a
household
well
name.
known name. Is in the uh, broadcasting business, and he he is a socialite, but I don't think he's much of a political weight. He may have friends in the corridor of power or whatever, but he himself as a political entity, I don't think he has that wherewithal to really eat much in the Nigeria political scene.
Mm. Right, okay. Yeah, I think he's a good presidential material. I think he has a vision. I think that he has energy. He know a lot of people. That's for sure. But I don't think he has the kind of resources. I don't think he has the kind of resources to fight people like Atiku Abubakar, like Bukola Saraki. I don't think he has that kind of money. But if you are talking about brains, I think
Yeah, yeah.
he has a
No,
brain.
I
Yeah,
don't think he can
he has a
fight
brain.
with those political weight.
Yeah, yeah, and he has a charisma. Let's talk about Ayefayoshe, who was a two-time governor of Ekiti State. Is he a good presidential material?
Um, Now, Ayo Fayose has political experience, and my question is, what is his achievement in Ekiti State? Because when you look at most governors, I don't think he has anything of substance to pinpoint to say he achieved much with the 2 time with 8 years that he spent in Ekiti State. He is he, he really, to be honest, he doesn't he acted like an Ekiti man in the real sense of it, with the devotion that Ekiti people usually have and passion for their people and development, either in education or infrastructure or in health facilities. He doesn't achieve much, which is unlike most Ekiti people from the Ekiti state. So to me, yes, he spent 8 years and it's just like all these he play Amala politics all through, trying to giving people money to
Yeah.
do this and do that.
Stomach infrastructure.
It is much of a small infrastructure, which is very alien to Ekiti State, and it doesn't have anything per se for the people. And I don't think he deserved some. We want somebody like that
As president.
as a president.
Okay. So, next question I want to us to discuss is now the Igbos of the southeast, particularly, they are they've been shouting from the top of the roof that it's the turn of the Igbos, that they want to be the next president, that the other zones should allow them to produce the next president. So, but now in the PDP alone, when you look at people of Igbo extraction, including from the south side like Wike and people of Igbo extraction, if you count, you are counting about up to about 9 names.
Eight so far out of the
Eight.
15. After the 15 that declared so far,
Yeah. So
eight
eight
from the
people in the same. So if they go into a convention now, and you have eight Igbo candidates, and the North they are able to come together and produce one other candidate, and from the Southwest, you have Fayoshe and you have Fayoshe. You also have Dele Mamadu in the South. Whichever way you look at it, if they have eight candidates, so they are divided into eight, how is that going to work out for them?
Okay. Now, one, which zone do you really deserve it? According to my analysis earlier, the last the last president from PDP come from the east, and prior that is from the north. So obviously, even from PDP, the next presidential candidate is supposed to come from the west,
Okay, from the western side.
from the western from the western side, for the western region.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that case, you are looking at Dele Mamadu and Ayefayoshe.
Now, but let's leave that one aside for now. What is the chances of all these these zones? Because when you look at the 15, 5 from the north, 8 from the east, and 2 from the west. But the 2 from the west, did they have the solid plan? Did they have the resources? Did they have the manpower to solidify even their from the west? People, the candidates or from what you call the voters from the west. Okay, that is another story. Now, this is where the North is playing smart. Even though there are 5, they are trying to streamline it to become 1, or at most to be 2. Now, if the East go into convention with 8 against 2 in the North and 2 from the West, they already defeated themselves by number. Because even from their region, they will split all the votes from their regions. And each one of them also will be trying to scout for votes from other regions. So they won't have a solid vote. So it's really illogical for them to think to be having a candidate,
Yeah.
so much candidate presented for the convention.
So in a nutshell, they need to come together, put their heads together, and anoint somebody. Possibly Peter Obi, who seems to be their best candidate. He doesn't seem to have a lot of baggages like most others.
Now we are not. Let's not talk about electability. Look at who are people that can be elected. How, look at the candidates who are people that can be elected. Especially, let's look at the East. If the East really are serious, then they need to present somebody that is acceptable, not only to the East, but to the rest of the country. Somebody that doesn't have baggages that can work against them during the election. So it's better. The best person that is fitting to that police is Peter Obi.
Why?
Peter Obi achieved a lot for Anambra in his 2 terms of governors, better than what Wike have achieved in Rivers. You look at somebody that is have vision and intellectual and have sincerity to serve Nigeria. You look at him as somebody that is very much is young, is not that old, and is also active, is industrious, and he really tried to integrate the economy of the East, of the state, very much into annexation of all their resources. He developed the economy and integrate and he have viable project that is even when he was not there, when he's left the place, it's still viable, it's still going on. There's still continuity there.
Okay, Nemola. Finally, I just want to briefly mention about the contestant on the western side. We've talked about the Fayoshe and Dele Mamadou. If they go into convention today, will Fayoshe be able to galvanize all the votes on the western side, or will Dele Mamadou be able to galvanize all those votes? Who is likely to galvanize all those votes?
Now, out of the two of Fayose and Mamadou, Fayose is in a better, is more a higher political heavyweight.
Yeah, he has much more money to spend.
But not only money to spend, you can also have political foot on the ground, foot soldiers on the ground.
I'm sure.
So,
Yeah, he has some structures in Ekiti State, but I don't think that cuts across to other states. I know he has a lot of problem with Oyo State governor, and so it's not likely to get all those votes in Oyo. But I know
yeah,
that Dele Mamadou is likely to get those votes.
that is one other thing that is working against the Western candidates, because PDP in the West only have Oyo State at the moment. So if you're
But they still have delegates. They still have delegates in all the
they
other
will
states.
have delegates, but if you know the delegates, you have the existing governors usually have influence over delegates,
Yeah.
and even though PDP is an internal issue, so they will have they can influence the party structure, especially the party chairman and the secretaries. We where there is no governor, where they don't have governor, then the party the executive will be the one that have the influence in the elected. But the question is, even if your state, you are not even in control of your state. I mean, your state is not even belong to the party. So, what justification do you have?
Okay. Then finally, it's the final question now because we have to close now. Um, if by any chance the PDP at the end of the day produces a northern candidate, do you think people in the electorate in the south will vote for a northern PDP candidate?
Now, if let's be honest and sincere to ourselves.
Mm.
Even though PDP has said they are not, why did PDP doesn't zone the
Why
party
what?
at the presidency at all? It's
Mm.
because they know that if they have to do the zoning, there's no way it will come to the north.
Yeah,
So now they abandon the zoning, which means leaving the field open. The heavyweight that are likely to win the presidency will come from the north.
yeah, okay,
And
okay,
the most likely person to win it is Atiku.
mm. Okay,
Now, what has Atiku done to redeem himself from the last presidential ambition
mm.
up to now? Are those packages that work against him at that time, have they vanished now?
Mm. No,
So,
yeah, he has not even talked. He has not even talked about them to tell people
so
that
it's
no.
so it's not ready. So this is so to me,
The
if
question I
Atiku
want us to answer, Demola, is after Buhari's 80 years in office as a northerner, do you think that any southern voter in their senses, whatever money you give them, do you think they will now vote for another person from the north, to become the next president for another 8 years?
I'm coming into that because this is where I want just to know that is if Atiku is their candidate, then this is no more a party issue now. It's now a national issue,
Mm.
and even irrespective of your party affiliation, with Nigerian dispensation now, I don't see any southerner that will be ready to vote for another northerner to rule for another 8 years. It's not feasible. It's a recipe for disaster
Yeah.
because otherwise it can lead to this disintegration of the country. So I don't think it's a reasonable project for PDP that people they will certainly lose the election. There's no way they are going to win it.
Okay. Just finally, I want you to say your social media declaration. I want you to speak to the Igbo presidential candidates in the PDP, what they ought to do if they really want to become, if they want to clinch the party's ticket. I need it to be,
Now,
yeah.
PDP have this opportunity to redeem their image. We know how woefully they performed in the last 15 or 20 years that they ruled Nigeria, and that was caused them the last election. If they are presenting any candidate that will say that nothing changed,
Mm.
they learn nothing, then they will be in a political dungeon for another 15 years. So it's high time. What I advise them is they need to know what Nigeria need now.
Mm.
And they need to work and present a clean, responsible, and people-oriented leader, candidate that can redeem their image.
Thank you.
Otherwise, they will be. I will be surprised if a third party usurp them before the next election.
Thank you very much, Demola. We've come to the end of today's deliberation. I want to thank you for tuning in, and thank you for all the subscription that you've got. Thank you for all the likes. We thank you all for your support. Again, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please subscribe Subscription is free of charge. All you need to do is just press that red button on your right. And what does that mean is that what that means is that each time we release a new video, you will be notified that there's a new video on our channel, and you'll be one of the first people to view it. So again, thank you for tuning in, and Mr. Adisa, a political analyst based in the United Kingdom. Thank you for your wonderful contribution, and I want to say again, thank you to everybody who's tuning in, and God bless you. We'll see you again next week. Thank you.
Thank you for being